first of all, we're going to be addressing JJK's way of storytelling when it comes to the past. Now, there's nothing wrong with putting a flashback arc in the middle of a series or in the next season, but to me, it just kind of feels weird. Hidden Inventory should have been a season 1 arc, not a season 2 arc. And I feel like the same could have been done for JJK 0. JJK 0 could have easily been a part of season 1 as its second core of episodes. And yes, I am well aware that this is not how the events were depicted in the manga. 0 is obviously the pilot, which is why it's called Volume 0 / JJK 0. I know Hidden Inventory happens later on in the main story of the series, but that's just my gripe with the timeline. That just feels out of place from like season 1. If all 3 were done the way I wanted to be done, we have Hidden Inventory first, JJK 0 second, then season 2 would practically be the entirety of the original run of season 1, and everything would just be hunky-dory. As for season 1, I really don't have any gripes with it aside from the first episode, but we'll say that for another time. Okay, Shibuya. I know everyone's gonna hit me on this one. Now, I don't straight up hate Shibuya. It does have a lot of good moments and fight scenes, but when you look at it as a narrative, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And what I mean by it doesn't make a lot of sense is that the chaos overwhelms you. Not in like a good writing sense of like, oh my goodness, things are just going crazy in Shibuya. No, it just kind of feels like, why is this here? Because I did try reading Shibuya in manga format, and I got bored with it. I was like, why is Itadori fighting a grasshopper curse? Which, don't get me wrong, that fight was funny and cool to see how far Itadori has come as a sorcerer. But I decided to switch from manga format to anime format once season 2 had got enough episodes into Shibuya in the English dub. And when I watched it, it was a little bit better. It was a little bit better. I can understand what was going on, but again, Shibuya narrative-wise is bad because it just mostly focused on them just throwing hands at each other. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, what about Toji meeting Megumi? What about the whole thing with Gojo? What about Kenjaku? What about this? It's like, look, these are all great moments. Don't get me wrong, they're all great moments. But the problem is that too many hands are being thrown and not enough time to absorb information is there. They're literally just fighting all the time. This is actually my favorite point that I came up with. Mahito should have stayed in the story. Or at the very least until, Sukuna takes over Megami and just ends up killing Mahito just right there and then. I would have been perfectly fine with that. Because like, when you really think about it, Mahito as a villain is a lot more interesting than Kenjaku. And the reason why Mahito is so interesting and better is because he literally did not have a goal. He literally just wanted to see how much he could fuck with humanity. And that, I might say, was honestly what makes him my favorite JJK villain / probably one of my favorite anime villains of all time. This man literally did not give a fuck about life. And seeing him getting his ass beat by Itadori and Todo, not gonna lie, it was satisfying to see that fight. He most definitely needed to get his ass whooped that bad. But seeing him getting taken down by Kenjaku, now granted, he tried to take Kenjaku down first, which if Gege had just stuck with that decision with Mahito winning right there, dog, Mahito probably would have been the best villain in Culling games. He probably would have been doing more devious shit. But it's like at the same time, dude, Mahito's obviously the better villain. He shouldn't have died at the end of Shibuya. And yes, I am aware at the end of JJK, Mahito does get some sort of closure, but not really. It just feels like, man, he should have just stayed in the story. Now we're on to Shinjuku Showdown. This point we can all agree with. Well, the fans that aren't toxic will agree to this. Gege should have not have had Sukuna kill off Gojo. The fight had the perfect setup for either side to win, but most people had the feeling that Gojo was going to win because he basically was the strongest sorcerer out there. He had all the perfect techniques. He had red, he had blue, he had purple, he has RCT. But at the end of the day, Gege does not like Gojo, so he had to go with his decision or her decision. We don't know if Gege is a boy or girl. At the end of the day, this was the worst writing decision because Shinjuku Showdown was dragged out for longer than it should have been. Gege, next time you make a super powerful character, don't make him super powerful and likable, and don't kill him off as easily. Thank you. Alright, and now on to the last point. JJK Modulo. Now, to anyone who's a fan of Modulo, you guys are free to criticize me on this one because I've only read the first chapter of the series. But me just reading the first chapter was enough for me to say, why are we pulling a Kishimoto right now, Gege? Just why? To me, this decision to make aliens a part of a series where it's clearly established that supernatural things like cursed spirits exist, it really diminishes that feeling of the spookiness and horror that JJK first developed itself off of. And the fact that aliens are here, and the fact that this character named Deborah, I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, Deborah is supposed to be like either stronger or on the same level as Sukuna. It literally makes no sense. Like, wait a minute, cursed energy is like alien based now? I don't know. I only read the first chapter, like I said, but it's like, just why, Gege? Why are we doing these things when it's unnecessary? Now, the next point of Modulo really kind of upset me from an emotional standpoint, and it made me question the limits of the Heavenly Pact. And that's Maki and Yuta both dying. And two reasons why their deaths upset me is because they both finally got what they wanted, freedom and happiness from their past. And the fact that these two were so powerful and yet we didn't get to see what they were doing as adults before old age. And I'm very well aware that sorcerers do die of old age in JJK, but two things that stick out to me is that Yuta had the manifestation of Rika, and Maki has the Heavenly Pact. And my opinion is that Yuta and Maki shouldn't have died so easily, especially Maki. The Heavenly Pact is supposed to put you at your physical peak. So if anything, I feel like Maki should have at least lived to the age of almost maybe 120, while Yuta probably should have only lived up to the age maybe close enough to that. Let's give Yuta age 116. Like, that would have made more sense. But them both dying in their 80s/90s, it's sad, because you would think that with all the buffs that they got, they wouldn't have, croaked so easily. And yeah, that's really my thoughts on JJK. Like, the things that I think messed up JJK. I'm still going to watch the anime all the way up to the end. Modulo, I might give it another try when the anime version of that one comes out. But hey, those are just my thoughts and opinions. Thank you for watching the video. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.